You're listening to the Better Relationships After Baby podcast, where I believe your relationship can be stronger than ever after having a baby. It just takes tools, conversation, and support to help you get there. I'm Chelsea Skaggs, certified life and relationship coach, mom of two, and survivor and thriver of tough relationship challenges after babies. I'm committed to helping couples just like you improve your communication skills, connection points, and personal confidence so that you can have the life and family you've always dreamt of. Now, let's get to today's episode. Hello, parents, and welcome back to another episode of the Better Relationships After Baby podcast. This is another episode where I am joined by a guest, handpicked and very, very much loved. This is an episode that I think is super important for both partners to listen to. So if you're a mama who's listening to this, give it a listen and share it over to your partner and ask them to listen in too, and then put a time on the calendar to come back and share your thoughts and talk about it with one another. I am joined today by Kristyn Dingman, who I somehow in the Instagram universe discovered and found, and we've kind of postpartum journeyed together for the last couple of years. And Kristyn does an incredible job talking about the changes of our body, the acceptance of our body, and even just rebelling against the societal messages and pressures and narratives that are really damaging to mothers in so many ways. And so we're going to talk tonight about our experience with our bodies and what that does personally, but also how our experience in our bodies, our evolution of understanding our body changes and being in our bodies and finding confidence in a changed body, how that also impacts our relationship with our partner. I strongly believe, and I know we're going to hear this from Kristyn, that the way that we see ourselves and treat ourselves and think about ourselves has a huge impact on the way that we are willing to show up with and for our partners. And so when I have a mom ask what's the first step to connecting with a partner, I say it's to connect with yourself. It's to find the ways that you need to make peace and that you can invite some more confidence and acceptance and love into your life. So, Kristyn, I'm going to ask you to just introduce yourself briefly, who you are, what you do, why you do it, and who makes up your family.
Thank you so much for having me. By the way, I know there's such an array of people that you can choose from that have been inspirational, but I'm very honored that you picked me. So my name is Kristyn. I am a self-love advocate who truly believes that regardless of your body size and regardless of what society says, that you can love yourself no matter what, especially after baby. I think you pointed out, like, often there is so much stigma behind moms having to bounce back or to look a certain way. I mean, it's incredible the influence that we have from either social media or from any sort of platform like TV, or it just really influences who women are supposed to be rather than just letting them be. So I am a stay-at-home mom of two. I have two boys, and I have an amazing husband who's extremely supportive and has been with me through the hard times, especially realizing that I may have a lot of insecurities. We, first started dating, we were in high school. So he's seen me grow throughout the years. And it's such an important thing for me to have a rally of people behind me kind of cheering me on through the good and the bad. So yeah, I think my initial journey of body positivity was something that I noticed happen after I had my first son. And I think that's where my journey started, because I realized that I had so much change in the 9 months that nobody prepared me for. And I was just sick of being at war with myself all the time. I was using the same tactics over and over again, comparing myself and just being so down that I just decided to change the tactic that I was using and start loving who I was rather than hating. And since then, I've been able to flourish and just be mentally more clear. And I am grateful for where I'm at today. And it's taken a long time for me to get there, but I'm here now. And now I want to share what I can with others who may be struggling, or somebody who's just looking for a place where they want to feel represented.
Yeah. And I know that that is what I see every time I go to your Instagram page. I see the comment from a mom who needed what you had to share, because it's not the message that we get thrown at us the most. We're not invited to love and accept and cherish ourselves and our changes. I mean, that is almost an act of rebellion for us as women, right? To love ourselves in so many ways, and especially our bodies.
Oh yeah, it's amazing that I feel like it may have been a smaller community years ago, but I've noticed that the more people are feeling good about who they are, they're getting cheered on. And now there's this huge community of people who are, it's literally like, you know, when we rise together concept. And it's been so like liberating to see, instead of bringing people down for loving who they are, it's been more of an accepted kind of culture that's come out the last maybe 5 or 6 years. And I'm honored to be a part of that community.
Yeah, it's so necessary, and such a big change from when we first had our first kids and there were no examples. Do you remember, I'm sure you do you remember some of those early days of your first postpartum, what that experience was like as a new mom in a changed body and seeing and feeling that for the first few times?
Yeah, I think it was a big shock. I had no kind of prep for the whole experience of labor and delivery. That was, I mean, they have all these books, but nobody's real about the things that are in the books, it was shocking. I didn't know a lot of the things that happened, and there wasn't a lot of support from even the staff. You know, I went to a hospital and had a traditional birth experience, and I just felt alone the whole time. Though the focus was on me, I felt like there was no care for mom once the baby was here. And I think that's when I had this realization of, I have this new baby. I have no idea what to do with it. I have this new body. I have no idea what to do with it. And somehow I have to just snap into this mom mode. I was just given this title of mom. This is my new role, but nobody showed me how to do it. It was all baby. All that mattered was baby, baby, baby. And seeing it now, it's just as important to take care of the baby as it is to take care of mom. And I think the lack of support was when I first realized that I'm kind of doing this alone. So I can't ask for help in my own postpartum body. I have to figure out those answers on my own. And it's a very lonely journey. So I think that's kind of where I wanted, I was seeking guidance and help, but nobody was giving me the resources to do so. And I think that's kind of where the journey of me journaling and talking about, I have all this loose skin and I have so many changes that nobody prepared me for. And it was just a shock. So I think it was just a matter of my willpower to not be down on myself for not looking like the girls do in the magazines after having a baby after a week or something. So yeah, I think that that's the initial time when I realized that there's something not right here. There's such a gap between a mom getting and having a baby and the aftercare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you talked about that need to figure some things out for yourself and figure out how you were going to feel about and live in this body and how to navigate that. And I just want to say that I recognize the willpower to say, I'm going to be a really good mom by finding the ways to love myself and not hate myself. I think one of the most heartbreaking things is to see moms fall into the trap of starting to hate themselves and criticize themselves and pull themselves apart. And then there's not a full mom left to really show up for the kids because all of this focus, all of this worthiness has been fed to us in a package that doesn't serve us.
Yeah, it's a cliche thing to say, but it's true that if you don't love yourself, it's hard to love others. And that's completely true. I can put on a brave face and fake it, but that gets old very quickly and it slowly breaks you down. And then your mental health is just shattered. And sometimes it takes years to come back from it. Some people can do it quickly, but it's so important to be able to work on yourself and also learn how to be this new mom, be this new person, and still, try to be there for your partner. And there's so many things that we have to juggle as new parents that it's frustrating that there isn't a better, or at the time there wasn't something better for me to guide me and help me along the way. It was total self-discovery.
Yeah. Today's episode is sponsored by Love Lingual. Love Lingual has card decks that increase your communication and connection with carefully curated cards containing unique and thought-provoking conversation starters. Mike and I use the couples deck regularly to add something new to our conversation and just honestly always be learning more about ourselves and one another. You can find your first deck at bit.ly/WTFLoveLingual. That's bit.ly/WTFLoveLingual. You can also find that link in today's show notes. Yeah, so you mentioned what that looks like to be with a partner and to love yourself so that you can be loved by someone else. And I know that this is, something we wanted to get into is this idea of how we love ourselves and what that means for being in an intimate, trusting, teamwork, vulnerable relationship with someone else. And so I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that journey for you, the journey of maybe times when your self-confidence and your connection with yourself maybe wasn't where you wanted it to be, and maybe you noticed that in your relationship, or times where you saw the benefits of growing your confidence and how that impacted your relationship with your husband.
So when we had my first son, I think that initial shock of, wow, my body didn't go back to the way it was something that I found really interesting. And so I did a little research, and just from the brief, Google search, I found that it takes about 7 years for a woman's body to kind of go back to a sense of normal after having a child. And that sat with me. And I let that marinate in my mind for months and months and months, and decided to give myself grace in that I'm not going to be the same person I was. And it's not going to even take years. Even if I went to the gym every day and did, it's going to be a long time. And I presented this kind of information to my husband and wanted an honest opinion from him. And he started talking to me about how he saw my body as this machine, this mind-blowing machine, that I was able to grow this human in 9 short months. 9 months is such a short timeline. And to him, the concept of how babies are born was a new thing for us. So I had actually done a post about his response to my question of, what do you think about me now? And he talked a lot about how he loves the roadmaps that my body has created. And I remember we were having this conversation. It was just, he was using these metaphors that were things I never thought about. And he loved the bumps that I had, and he loved being able to feel my son kick. And he essentially was describing this new connection that he had with me. And he wasn't talking about my looks, nothing about my breast size or my hair that grew, nothing like that. It was the fact that your body did all of this change was so cool, and it made me feel a lot more connected and closer to you. And him telling me that gave me this burst of energy and confidence, and that kind of turned into this like sexiness. It made me feel proud that I had these differences happening with my body, and very unexpected. I was not expecting that kind of response, just, based on what I'm supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. So it made me very proud to be his partner in that moment. And that's kind of what I had shared in the post was his explanation of why he was so proud and why he thought I was beautiful even after having a baby. Mm-hmm. So it's more comments like that for me. The support behind him gave me a lot of that confidence. And I'll be honest, there were days that he could tell me that I'm beautiful and gorgeous, and I would tell him to shut up. Like, you're just lying. You're just trying to. So I think there's moments where he would say things like that, and I would blow him off. And I can't imagine that makes him feel good when he's trying to be genuine. But I think naturally, when somebody gives us compliments, we want to instantly shut them out. And I was very much that way before and sometimes after baby. But it was the constant reminding that kind of made me realize that I can still be sexy even after I have a baby. So.
Okay, so since you brought that up, I talk to a lot of moms who are like, I can't even think about intimacy. I can't think about sex. I can't think about connecting. How could I even do that because my body's so different? Or what are they going to think? What's your response to that?
So I definitely struggled with that, and I still struggle with that. The best way for me to explain this is, say you're at a hotel resort and you're down at the pool and you're very nervous to take off your clothes to get into your swimsuit. You're tugging and pulling and you're just super self-conscious. You have to realize that everybody who is at that pool feels the same way. Mm-hmm. They're focusing all of their attention on how they look. And they're not looking at you because they're so focused on themselves. Mm. And it's kind of freeing in the sense that, well, you don't have to care because nobody's looking. And it's really just about you embracing and owning how you look. And that's how I've always felt, like, nobody's really looking and staring. He's not picking me apart, and it's not something that he's doing. And I think I don't know if it's maybe just my husband, but for him, sex is not a chore. It's not something that we feel like we have to schedule, because we're kind of more spontaneous, I think, in how we get intimate. But something I also found helpful was taking the time to actually buy clothes that fit me, not focusing on the size, not focusing on what the tags say. But I found it really fun for me to buy lingerie. I had never owned a piece of lingerie my entire life, even when I was in my 20s, in my when I was 115 pounds, never had it. And since I've had kids, I have more lingerie than I think I have shorts, which is crazy because I would never have been that person. But there's something, I found something that gives me the confidence I need, and I wear it for me. He could care less if he would prefer I didn't have anything on, as he said. But it's something that I have found that triggers my confidence. It makes me feel really sexy. And if anything, that's just gonna spice things up in the bedroom. So it all works out. But I very much think of the Justin Timberlake song, "I'm Bringing Sexy Back." That's something that I'm I'm going to do this regardless of how my body looks. I'm doing this for me. I'm going to do whatever it takes to feel confident. And if other people want to judge, or if it's not about that, it's about me, and I have to come first.
Oh, I heard just from this whole progression, almost like a domino effect. I think people want to either be stuck in self-criticism or full on, here I am, top of my game, acceptance. And I heard you say I decided, and then I learned, and then I talked about it with my partner, and then I started to love myself more, and then I bought clothes that fit well, and then I bought lingerie. There's this almost confidence is building off of itself. And like a lot of things, sometimes the hardest step is the first step of deciding that I'm going to make this choice.
Yeah, I was just so stuck of being in that just same routine of criticism, or going on social media and comparing my squares to other people's squares, or watching. I remember just being a teenager and putting MTV on before school and seeing Christina Aguilera and all these people, and why don't I look? I did the same thing since I was a preteen all the way up until my late 20s. And it got me nowhere. I learned nothing new. I was doing the same thing. And it's why am I doing this? And how can I change the game? And it was literally a flip-flop. Instead of being so negative, why not try being positive? And it's taken me farther than anything else I've ever done.
Oh, I love that. And the other thing is, I wonder if you notice that confidence is then sexy for your partner.
Oh, it's been changed. It's been a huge change in our sex life. So it used to be lights off. I have to shower before. There's so many things, and by the time it was time to be intimate, it felt like a chore. We had to check off the list of things that had to be done prior. Now it's, again, very spontaneous. The lights are on. I mean, it's great. And I think that being a confident woman or being a confident partner has not only made our sex life better, but it's made us have stronger connections, and it doesn't feel like a chore, and it doesn't feel scheduled, which I think scheduling is so great. Scheduling date nights, those things, reminding your partner that they're important, even after having babies, all of that. It's so essential to make time, not just for yourself or with your family, but your partner.
This episode is sponsored by Good Clean Love. At Good Clean Love, you get everything you need for feminine hygiene, intimacy hygiene, and extra fun like oils and candles to add to the romance without extra toxins. If you have not looked at the toxins and ingredients that are in many feminine and hygiene products, including lubrication and beyond, you have to figure out what you're putting in and on your body and make some better choices because you deserve it. To check out everything they have to offer, go to bit.ly/WTF Good Clean Love. That's bit.ly/WTF Good Clean Love. You can also find that link in today's show notes.
And my confidence, I think, has made him probably more confident too.
Yeah.
Not to say that, guys don't have body, and they do. My husband's a bigger guy, and there's times where he has insecurities too and has pointed them out. And seeing him being a father and me commenting saying, you being a father has made you sexier, gives him confidence too. And so just the two together, it's just like you said, like a domino effect. It's like he supports me and pushes me to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm doing the same for him.
Yeah.
And it could be a kind of ugly situation if I had a partner that wasn't supportive, or it could turn out to be an ugly situation. But I've found somebody who that supports and encourages me, and that to me is sexy too. There's lots of things that happen, and it's amazing to watch it all kind of blossom.
Yeah, you went right into what my next question was, which was, if you noticed the impact on your husband's journey with his own confidence, whether that be body or whether that be the other ways that he is showing up for the family. Like, what does it mean for you guys to be a family? You're raising two kids together, and what does confidence mean almost as like a foundational skill and a way that you lead your family?
Absolutely. So, like I had said, there's my husband has struggles with insecurities. I think most people do. I've noticed him, being a little bit more present with us. So if we are, say, going out to eat, he's kind of a calorie counter in a way, but me giving him confidence doesn't make him seem so much in his head. Me letting him know that he's a good father turns into a lot of fun play dates with the kids, and he seems more eager to engage with them. So I have two boys. Both are on the autism spectrum, and we struggle a lot trying to learn what autism is and how that has impacted our family, and trying to learn to be these new parents and therapists at the same time. And I think a lot of our relationship as a couple has had to morph into something different than we initially had planned. Me giving my husband that strength to be a good father and a good husband has just made him an even better partner. And I think a lot of times we struggle trying to learn how to parent one way or another, and at the end of the day, we always kind of choose to be on the same team. We loved each other so much. We got married, and we wanted to make our team bigger. We wanted to expand it, and we had kids. So seeing him really take the role on as a father and a partner has been one of the most amazing things I've been able to witness.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And I can just see that, like, in you. Like, I just see the team together as a family. And I love that, just that reminder that bringing kids into our family is like growing our team, and we get to really all support and root each other on and carry the highs and the lows with one another. That's so beautiful. If there was, and I know that there is listening, so a mom who is maybe in the earlier postpartum seasons and she is trying to make peace with how her body has changed. How do you advise her to start, or what can she stop doing or start doing, or make a mindset shift to feel more at home in her body?
Yeah, I think if I were to tell somebody one thing, it would be to give yourself grace and understand that you have to be gentle. Um, the change comes quickly, but it's important to take small steps. Just like with a diet or anything else, it's about making sure you have the right motivation, ensure that you are surrounded by like-minded people. I think one of the big things for me was that I unfollowed and unfriended a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And that in itself, hitting that button was revolutionary for me. It literally was weight off of my shoulders. So
yeah,
making sure that you find a group or a community that is empowering for you rather than kind of brings you down is essential. Throw away the scales, don't worry about the size that's on the jeans, and look at yourself in the mirror. Stop trying to hide, when you walk by. I love getting ready every morning naked. It's just my thing that I do. Mm-hmm. It's been something new that I've tried for the last 2 years, and I love doing it. There's something about it. It was really uncomfortable at first.
Yeah.
But it's something that I have continued to do every single day. It's my last step in the getting ready process in the morning is getting dressed. But I go fully naked and I'm doing my hair and makeup naked. And it's great. It's been the strangest little tweak, but I love it.
That is such a fun piece of advice. I love that so much. I discovered recently that if I would slow down in the shower and make a moment to just touch every part of my skin that I could, it felt so nice to recognize how many inches and centimeters make up my body, but how much of that goes uncared for. And so that's just another thing I wanted to add in is maybe you pause in the shower and you just feel your body.
Yeah, giving yourself that hug. I know it sounds so silly, but it's powerful. It's very powerful. And I love that. I don't know if I've ever actually taken that time to touch and feel my body and who I am, and realizing, wow, I have bumps here. I've got, whatever. It's a really good reminder, and something that I don't think a lot of us do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what about for navigating this with partners? I know you have a supportive partner. I have a supportive partner. And usually in these instances, I like to say, if you don't have a supportive partner, that's probably a different conversation than what we're having right now. That's a conversation of how to get the kind of support you need and make sure that you can be in a place where you are loved and you are well cared for. So let's continue this, assuming that we're talking to people who do have supportive partners that are open-minded, but maybe a little naive, maybe a little washed by societal messages, just like we are. What would you say that couples can do to start the conversation together and really not use these changes in postpartum to drive you apart from each other? I think sometimes we retreat in fear or shame, or we're just not sure how to navigate that. But like you said, this is a time where we can really enjoy a stronger connection, a stronger understanding, stronger intimacy with each other, which is a vulnerable space to be in. But assuming we're talking to people who have safe, supportive partners, where would you say they can start the conversation?
I think that there is a moment in everybody's relationship where you kind of realize that you've changed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you get married and you say your I do's, you have all these promises that you make. And kids kind of change some of those, which is why I know a lot of people renew their vows and things like that. But when we pick our partner, we have to realize that change is inevitable. And we have to constantly remind ourselves that we are doing this together over and over and over and over again. And I think a good place to start would be to make sure that, one, you have open communication. I know a lot of couples do struggle. They have a great marriage, but communication is hard, especially for guys to be, or other partners to be vulnerable at times. And I think that can impact a couple's ability to connect. If one person is able to connect feelings and one isn't, there could be a big clash there, that they're almost like a wall that one person's trying to climb and the other person can't. As strange as it might be, having a designated time to maybe sit and talk with your partner about either concerns or things that you think would be informational could be a good place to start. Expressing, I enjoy these type of things, either in the bedroom or on a date night or something, and here's things that I think that we could work on, might be a great way to start those kind of conversations that might be a little bit uncomfortable. But I definitely surrounding yourself with people who are supportive is the best advice I can give somebody who may not have that person at home. Find it in other places, other online communities or something, just to get that support no matter what or where you're at in your relationship.
Yeah, there are so many moments, especially in early motherhood, where you kind of stop and feel like you are all alone. Like, am I the only one? Is this something broken in me? Is this, something I can even talk about, because it feels so vulnerable and lonely? And I think that this kind of message comes up in every episode. The reality is that we are not ever alone in those things, and taking a step to open up and to start conversations is really sometimes so healing and freeing. You were talking about unfollowing people, and I was like, oh my gosh, I literally remember the freedom feeling of choosing my community, of choosing. My brain is limited, and I can only take in and process so many messages, and those messages have an impact. So I had to get more selective. I had to get more intentional about what I was taking in. And I think that goes with all aspects, our bodies, our business, our families, our income. There's just so many areas that we can stop and, just feel that weight of comparison. And so it's really important to tune in and notice, oh, that didn't actually leave me feeling good, or that left me feeling critical of myself. That's actually a space that I probably need to intentionally step away from.
Definitely. Yeah, it was very freeing. And one of the best things that I ever did was to pick my community, and only I have control over that. And that's also very freeing to know that I can fix certain aspects of my mental health on my own by hitting a button.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So good. Okay. So I want to make sure that people know how to find you and tap into your community, because you are a really great place to go and even get that regular dose of encouragement and normalization and inspiration, and just to find other moms who are really fiercely committed to loving themselves and living fully because of that. So how about, one, you tell me places that people can connect with you, and then after that, just one last piece of advice you would give your first time mom self about your relationship with you or your relationship with a partner after baby.
Sure. So my main place that you can find me is on Instagram at Kristyn Dingman. I also do a little bit of Facebook, but mainly my account is through Instagram. So yeah, I think that if I were to give myself or others a piece of advice before we wrap up, I think it would be to understand that just because you're a mom doesn't mean you have to lose your sexiness. And I'm able to be so much more of myself because of that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Could go on and on about how much that impacts our energy and how much that impacts how we just show up in other areas. I think that is so beautiful and so brilliant. And sexy it's a feeling, it's an energy we give off, it's an experience. It's not a cut and dry mold that we need to look like or be in order to do that. Okay, Kristyn, thank you for your time and for just the ways that you show up for yourself and for your family and then for other people, and just the domino effect that I think that has on new and growing moms as we learn the power of self-love and being confident in these bodies that are so wonderful.
Thank you again for having me. I am again so honored that you chose me for this topic. And
of course.
If anything, I hope it helps somebody who may be struggling, even if it's one person who might be struggling with understanding and learning their postpartum body and what their capabilities are, and how that may be a factor in building a stronger relationship with their partner.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you again so much. Everyone find Kristyn, send her some love, let her know that you heard her share here, and just remember it starts with loving yourself fiercely, and that has so many domino effects. If you've enjoyed today's episode, I want to invite you to explore coaching with me. I help my clients identify where they are, where they want to be, and what is standing in their way. And then we get to work changing mindsets, altering patterns, and developing the communication skills, connection points, and personal confidence you need to live the life that you want to be living and you deserve to be living the fullest version of yourself for your own experience and for your family. I offer a free 15-minute exploration call where we just chat about where you are, where you want to be, and whether coaching is the route to get there. You can schedule that free call at bit.ly/WTFChels. That's bit.ly/WTFChels. And I cannot wait to chat with you.